Hey, yeah, I'm here. This is a different seat. Let's see, turn it right there. That's outside. It's bright, sunny out there, so it's just white out there right now. But you see Greg's video? I have the bullet. I have the bullet. What's the bullet do for you, Greg? Oh, Greg, remember? Oh, Bill, you're wrong. It's not the bullet. It's not the bullet. Now you think that you're gonna go and say, I have the bullet, it's mine. It's like bullshit, Greg. You know you're full of you are such a psycho. My God. You can't even listen. You don't even know how the bullet is the solution. You're an idiot, Greg. Yes, and the chat is set up. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, you don't get a chat. Come on. You know, I'm not gonna have people in here in chat that are too chicken shit to subscribe to my channel. Yeah, Greg claiming that he has the bullet. I'm gonna see it on my screen. See what it says. I'll read you what his thing says. It says, Forrest Fenn has passed torch to brutal truth. And he says, I own the bullet, Maverick and Bone now. And now, Greg, you don't even know what the Maverick is. The Maverick is a Ford. It was a car that people used to drive before you were born. Like in the 70s. Hey, my kid is older than Greg. And trying to say, yeah, oh, Bill, you're totally wrong. It's not the bullet. It's not. He didn't shoot himself. He didn't. No. He certainly did. I've shown that picture of Forrest Fenn's gunshot wound to several police. That is not natural causes. That man shot himself. Yet there are people that, oh, Forrest Fenn was a god. We can't tell anybody he shot himself. Oh, no. That would just ruin his reputation. Well, important literature, he's telling you he learns from watching the professionals, the people that know what they're doing, the acclaimed writer Ernest Hemingway. He studied Ernest Hemingway's methods, including the method he used to end his life. My glasses are spotted, so I clean them up a little bit, get the spots off them. I ain't seen no chat yet. I don't even know if anybody's watching. And I'm not using any streaming services. There is no joining in on this because I paid for a year of the freaking subscriptions so that I could have guests on the channel. So there could be other people on here with me talking, but nobody would call and join in. So that opportunity is gone. I'm not going to pay $100 and something a year for nobody to come and join in. Okay. New managing moderators can support your channel in even more ways. Close that. Turned on subscribers only mode. Yes, you have to subscribe to chat. And I think it takes, after you subscribe, it takes 5 minutes before it'll let you chat. But Yeah, I'm not going to have people who don't respect me enough to subscribe to my channel in here saying shit. You don't get to do that. And let's do the matching hat for the shirt. Yeah. Under a canopy of stars. People don't even understand the canopy of stars concept. Now, how can it be out there in the woods, in the trees, and be under a canopy of stars? It doesn't work, Cynthia, Justin. Your 9 Mile Hole location does not work at all. That's under a canopy of trees. Under a canopy of stars has to be under in an open meadow. Because if you're in the trees, the stars aren't your canopy. And then his fighter jet, the canopy got shot out. I don't even know if I see if anybody's. Is this thing telling me? Dang it. Okay. One person, me, most likely. But I'm not going to worry about that. Nobody's, it's just me talking to the screen because my audience is apparently dead. I have a dead audience. So it doesn't matter what I say if nobody's listening. And then even when there are people there, nobody's listening. Nobody's home upstairs. They ain't got their ears on. 60% of people don't listen, don't even listen. 80% can't comprehend what they're told, even if they did listen. You know? But 90% are totally ignorant, so it doesn't matter. I'm talking to a mostly ignorant crowd. That's obvious. In the treasure hunting community, why are so many people ignorant in the treasure hunting community? Because it's that gold fever. It's mine, you can't have it mentality. They're in denial that I solved it, because if I solved it, they lost. And yes, they did lose. It was lost over 5 years ago. I went down to Albuquerque on Thursday, and on the way back, I drove past Forrest Fenn's house. And when I looked at the front, out at the gate, there's two big Amazon boxes, like 16-inch wide, maybe 10 inches tall, and maybe 2 feet long. Two big boxes, and it looked like they were split at the seams with tape around them, like it was trash it was put out, or something somebody left there. It didn't look like it was a actual something that came from Amazon, and it had the yellow plastic bag sitting on top, and it looked very trashy for having that Sotheby's sign out front, right? But the house ain't been listed forever. It's still under the county assessor as the Forrest and Peggy Fenn Trust. And in the trust, that means Forrest is still the rightful owner of that property. It hasn't signed over to anybody yet. So, but it just looked like nobody was there when I drove by, because I my plan was, well, if it didn't look trashy like that, I might have stopped and rang the bell and see if Shiloh was there and said hi, had talk with him or whatever, I'm not after I'm not a threat to Shiloh, any danger to him, you know. Um, but I like they've never talked to me, never said a word to me. Oh, you're gonna get sued for what? They don't give a shit what I say about Forrest. They don't give a shit that I said that Forrest shot himself. And so after Forrest shot himself, he drops the gun on the floor. As far as I know, the maid found him. The maid ain't going to pick up the gun and do something with it. The only person that would pick up the gun and do something with it would have been Zoe. Zoe hid the gun that Forrest shot himself with. They took him to the hospital. I don't know that he went to the hospital. I believe the family drove him to the hospital. I don't believe an ambulance came and got him. So they drove him to the hospital. While he's at the hospital, the maid is cleaning up any mess that was made there where Forrest fell. And the police never came until after he had returned home from the hospital in an ambulance, was all cleaned up and laid in his bed. Well, he ran around. He had dried blood on his nostrils, you know, because when you put a bullet in your eyebrow there, it goes through your sinuses, and so it went into his sinuses and drained out his nostrils. That's why he has the blood there. And when the bullet penetrates the skin, the reason he's got that ring, there's like a bruised ring, is because when the bullet goes in the hole, when the bullet's making the hole, it's stretching that skin into the hole and pulling it evenly into the hole, and it makes that ring from the skin stretching into the hole. And it's only a 1/4-inch hole. A heavy load, a 22 caliber bullet is a heavy load compared to the Red Ryder BB. If you're brave and in the wood, well, it's clearly on the wood stock of the BB gun. It says Red Ryder. They had teachers with ropes. Oh, and the learning curve, okay? Teachers with ropes, and we got a learning curve. Oh, it may be learning cursive because the Red Ryder BB gun says Red Ryder. The letters of Red Ryder are written with a rope in cursive. The learning cursive, okay? In the wood on the BB gun. Even Charlton Heston, his NRA speech, relates that wood of the stock of the gun to the stick of Moses. It was adopted onto the weapon and used as the stock of the BB gun. Charlton Heston, his NRA speech before he goes on to the, and especially you, Mr. Gore. Hey, Wig. Hey, Captain Kidd. Subscribers. Yeah. I ain't been on here a while. Ain't got them streaming things. Those, so no guess. So it's just direct YouTube. Puddle shuttle. What's a puddle shuttle? Yeah, the Greg actually promoting himself that he has the bullet. The bullet is the car with the bullet hole in it. In the thrill of the chase, the bullet hole is photoshopped in the picture with Skippy sitting in the car. There's a bullet hole photoshopped in the cowl, which is the part I had, is the cowl. The cowl It's the fuel tank. It's the dashboard. It's the part that holds up the windshield. It goes between the engine and the driver. It's the top of the firewall, you know? And Mike Cowling, his name is Cowling and he doesn't get it. He doesn't even know what a fucking cowl is. What fucking ridiculous. A fucking idiot named Cowling can't see the cowl. You can get a Ralph Lauren polo shirt with a polo insignia on the cowl. Where's the cowl? It's on the chest. The cowl is the chest. Your cowl is your chest. And so the cowl is the chest. Just take the chest. I took the chest. Lynn Wubin, the law enforcement officer for the Forest Service, the Rio Grande National Forest, told me that I could keep it. You know, really that jagged metal out there in the meadow, it's kind of a danger to the wildlife because, you know, the wildlife can trip over it, cut themselves on it, get injured on it. So, and where the car part was in the D-shaped meadow, it was put there intentionally. I know this because the rest of the car is half a mile, 3/4 mile away on the other side of the highway and everything. Yeah, I said other side of the highway. Yeah, it's not that secluded. If you think that Forrest wouldn't think a space that close to the highway, that highway noise would make it not such a special place, you forget that Forrest is deaf. He can't hear that highway. He can't hear it. So that doesn't mean anything. And the thing, the rest of the car is on the other side. If you're going to take that thing part to take it with you, take it somewhere, you're not going to cross the highway with it. You're going to load it on your car at the highway. You're not going to take it over the other side of the highway to some other place in the forest. So it was intentionally placed there in the D meadow. In Ramblings and Rumblings, the car is an old car with no body, and he sat on the frame in the back, or he sat on the axle holding on to the frame. That would be pretty rough. Boom, 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 boom across that field, you know. And they careened through the trees. That's another word that is quoted in Jack Stoof's Remembrance of Forrest Fenn. He talks about Forrest Fenn's quotes. I couldn't talk about his quotes, but now that he's dead, I can bring up his quotes. That's what Jack Stoof says in the Remembrance. I'm not making this up. If you're too much of if you're an idiot and say Gorman doesn't know what he's talking about, you did not read the article. And if you did read it, you did not comprehend it. Comprehension, Davy B didn't know what comprehension was. Comprehension is your ability to understand what you were told. I'll tell you how he got it there, Captain Kidd. Where the rest of the car is along a telephone, along a power pole line that goes up Lobo Mountain, Lobo Mountain, Wolf Mountain. Okay, Lobo is wolf, and to a cell site up there. So my idea is Forrest had said that he took helicopter lessons, how to fly helicopters. He knew how to fly helicopters. He got certified for flying helicopters. They're building this pole line. I think Forrest might have been working whenever they put this pole line in between when he got out or whatever. He might have had a job to fly that helicopter and put them poles in. And while he was doing it, hey, hook that cowl on here. and he just hooked it on and took it over to the meadow. If you put it down, landed the helicopter and hooked it and set it up right there in that meadow and then took off. I think that's how that cow got to that meadow. The reason I knew the car was on this pole, the rest of the car was on the pole line, was another guy camping there told me that he worked on putting them poles in, and where that car, I showed him it, and he, oh yeah, the rest of that car is up there on the hill, you know, and so that's how that car got there, you know, and the car was there because the road used to be completely different going up over Wolf Creek Pass, and it was there in the 20s and 30s. Where the Columbine Interpretive is used to be a campground called it was Columbine Campground, and then it was a Columbine picnic area, and now it's just the Columbine Interpretive, and there's 3 concrete picnic tables there. That kind of relates to the marbles, you know, the 3 marbles, the 3 tables. They're you know, but and I actually metal detected, and there was nothing. Somebody had metal detected them tables a long time ago. And later, another time when I went back there, I found 2 sticks with a feather, 2 sticks and 2 feathers, and those are they're protection against evil. They're protection for whoever, you know. They're protecting, you know. There was somebody's spiritual thing they left there, and I left them there. Sure, they're probably not there, but real close to there is one of them. There's a big stone. It's about 3 feet by 3 feet, and it's shallow in the kind of a trench in the middle, with a big stone in the middle for grinding the grain. The whole thing is right there, boom, still sitting there. And it's like, I'm surprised nobody's disturbed that. Should have a Forest Service come up and at least collect the rock that's sitting on it. That's the grinding stone. They should put a cage around the thing, maybe. I don't know, to protect it, so that rock can't be removed. Or put a chain on it, drill a hole in the rock, mount a chain on it, and leave it sitting there. Don't take this rock. Stays here. Makes perfect. Yeah. Greg has no business. He's like, no, I got the bullet. Greg, you called me an idiot for claiming the bullet solution, and now you're actually trying to claim that that's your idea. You're such a idiot. You're a moron, Greg. Time to put your head. Well, I don't know if he never got his head out of you. Just go away, Greg. With your head, just leave your head up your ass and get out of the chase. You have no business in the chase. You're nothing but an opportunistic piece of shit. Yeah. What is that? Where's my? Here it is. I had it here. Right here somewhere. Is my return to Taos. And the bronze wolves at the Museum of Nature and Science out in front, where Forrest parks his car. That's the comment about Forrest parking his car is here in the forward. Once in a while, the final clue is where he parks his car. But then, what's the last chapter? And I'm speaking, when I say last chapter, I'm talking about the original one, is The Price of Freedom, about a bronze wolf. And you want to know where he parks his car? Next to the bronze wolves at the museum that were donated by the Gates Family Foundation of the Gates Tire and Rubber Company, not Bill Gates, not Microsoft, Bill Gates, or it's the Gates Tire and Rubber Company. And a funny thing about the Gates Tire and Rubber Company, where is it? I thought I saw it here. My CD repair kit. The bronze wolves were donated by Valerie Gates, and if I can find that, I thought I saw it right here. My CD repair kit thing that I created. I'm gonna find it. I'll find it. Because it's right on top. It's just covered with something. But I don't see it. So I'm going to give up. Yeah. How come I can't find it? Okay. So the CD repair kit, the packaging on it was designed by Valerie Yates, the woman that donated the wolves to the museum. I know her. Knew her in 1995. She did my artwork for my CD repair kit cut box. And anyhow, but she was, I didn't put two and two together that she was part of the Gates family, the tire rubber battery company. The Optima batteries are owned by Gates Tire and Rubber Company. And Forrest talking about the tires on the cars, the tire ration stamps and all that. Has to do with the Gates tire, because when they're driving from Texas to Yellowstone, what's in the middle? Denver, the Gates Tire and Rubber Company. So they probably would have stopped. That would have been a good place to buy some tires, wouldn't it? But anyhow, so Valerie Gates donated these bronze wolves, but it turns out, you know who made the bronze wolves? Huh? Who made the bronze wolves? It was Glenna Goodacre. Glenna Goodacre made the bronze wolves where Forrest Fenn parks his car at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And the bronze wolves have a sign in front of them that says, and it's in the video I have about the wolves, about that, the picture of the sign in front of the wolves. Caution, wolf sculptures may be hot. Well, yes. In the summer, they're on the north side of the building. So in the winter, there's no problem. The sun doesn't hit the wolves. But in the summer, the sun will shine on them wolves, and kids will go sit on them, girls in their dresses or whatever, and they're going to burn themselves on them hot wolves in the sun. So they have a sign in front of them that said, caution, wolf sculptures may be hot. And then, where was Glenna Goodacre making her bronze? In Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, Texas. Who do you think was forging her bronze for her? Forrest Fenn. That's how he knows Glenna Goodacre, because he was forging that bronze. That was hot bronze. That was hot metal. You needed the metal. You needed the vehicle and the metal to take you there. The METTLE, metal. Well, it don't matter. It's steel is metal. It's hot metal. You can burn yourself on it. That was hot bronze they were pouring and casting them wolves. It came from hot bronze. It was hot metal. It's just crazy, too many coincidences. Oh, here's that's why I couldn't find the Return to Taos. I was using it for my mouse pad. This is my beat up version. I have a beat up version I have a version, and there it is. Return to Taos, and the picture with Forrest, Fenn, and Eric Sloan. The guy's riding off on the horse with the hat. Oh, there's the guy riding off in the Model A or the Model T with the hat from it. Return to Taos. And what the book's about is about 2 trips he made from New York to Taos. Eric Sloan is the man from the East. He's the one that found the car originally. So maybe it's the car that I have, whatever. But it's a Model A, 1930 Model A cow. There's Eric and his dog, his wife. I guess that's their 1960 trip. And lived in Connecticut more than 15 years, but he was living in New York. He lived up near Lake Champlain, across the river from Grandma Moses. He was a friend of Grandma Moses. But I got some markers in here with the stuff, clues. Forward. And he claims that he invented the hoop dance. The hoop dance. And when I went down to Santa Fe that time, that Street was saying I was, posting the pictures of Barbara's pool and shit. And I showed up at the square, and there was a guy doing a hoop dance. And there was a 1930 Model A cruising around town. It was just 2. So, and then he's got that Lincoln Highway sign is the same as Bip's sweater, except Bip's sweater has a D instead of an L on it. When he's talking about Bip's sweater in the drawing is the Lincoln Highway sign. I had notes in here. Where's my notes? And see, it says signs on his car. Signs are blazes. Blazes are signs. A trailblaze is a sign that tells you you're on the right trail. There's that Lincoln Highway sign again, that Bip sweater. Lincoln Highway. U.S. Highway number 1. Oh, here's the other thing. Remember Forrest Fenn talking to his map, and he made sure it was mentioned that Rand McNally made the map. Oh, that's why I'm not finding my notes in here. That's my good copy. I put the notes in my this copy. Yeah, here's in the foreword is where he mentions the 2 trips. He made 2 trips. And here is the box and I. The box. The box could be many things. It could not just a treasure box. It could be a bed, an easel, a table. Okay. And here is where Eric brings up. Where is it? Where does it say it exactly? Right underneath the tag. In 1920, when Rand McNally Company had taken over the already mountainous job, free road maps were an American institution, and Mr. Aiken had become the advertising manager of the Gulf companies today. Okay, so Eric Sloan brought up Rand McNally. Forrest Fenn included Rand McNally in his. Okay, and here in Eric Sloan's book, Return to Taos, is where warm water halts. When your car overheats, and there was a place, especially on a grade or something, there was places you could stop and get water. Because if you didn't know it, before 1980, cars overheated a lot. We couldn't even go over to the Santa Cruz Mountains. The car would overheat. We'd have to get out and go down to the creek and get water to put in the car, But it's not only where warm water halts when you overheat. When water's high, sometimes water wasn't a blessing because it was too high. You get out, it says, we'll turn the page because there's another drawing of water high on the next page. What you do when the water is high. Water high. Caution. If flooded, wait on foot before motoring over. There's the guy waiting on foot before driving across. You don't want that water getting in your engine. And I'm sure that was a bigger problem back then than it is now. And okay, now Forrest Fenn's 66,000 links. And Eric Sloan on page 27 here is telling us the turnpike boundary was 66 feet across. It was one chain across. So there were so many links to that chain. So, that would that right there is your 66,000 links. Oh, and that kind of 8.25 miles. Well, he said more than 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. Moses is 8.25 miles south of South Fork. SF. They're both SF. SF. And it's south, not north. And so Moses and just before you get to Moses is a chain station. And we got the chain. And yeah. Oh, and here, Forrest Fenn had the story about Miss Ford waking him up at his. Well, Eric Sloan has a story. He was sleeping in his car. He was out of gas, and the store ain't opened yet, so he just slept in his car, and he got woke up. He got woke up by a woman, making sure he was okay. In Flemington, when I fell asleep in Sunflint, I thought I had stopped on a desolate wilderness road, but when I awoke in the morning, I found myself almost in front of a country store. The storekeeper had eventually inspected me earlier, for when I was first stared, a lusty feminine voice called out, "Are you all right, Sonny? When you've a mind to, come by and wash up. There's coffee and fresh buns awaiting." So that's similar to the teacher waking him up. And you had to have a good right arm to pump the gas, because it was a hand, crank thing to pump the gas. And what about the postmarks? The postmarks. And how can I relate this picture to the postmarks? And I looked up. This bridge is still. It's been put back up, and it's still there. But mailman tobacco. Mailman tobacco. There's Eric Sloan and his Model T coming through there. Whoopi's here. Where's Whoopi? Whoopi's my buddy. This one's still there. Sparky's bridge. And the other thing is, Eric Sloan has covered bridges. Before I even knew it, Chase, I have a Oregon's Historic Covered Bridge Facebook page, and I got I think 30 of the 50 some covered bridges in Oregon on there. I need to take a trip to Oregon, maybe finish out, get some more bridges, and finish off that page. And the Highway Evangelist. What else you got in here? What else I marked? And even here. Yeah, there's some guy drowned in 2 inches of water. Eric is talking about some guy drowned in 2 inches of water. Drunk, fell down and drowned in a 2-inch puddle of water. At this point, he had already gotten into the car. Obviously, I haven't assumed that I'd been taking him along with me. Now, it's not how deep you get into skin like most folks think, he began. If you steal a little pin or $1,000, it's all the same portion of sin. That's what you got to learn. I knew a drunkard who fell into a puddle of water and drowned. It was only 2 or 3 inches of water, but still he drowned like he was at the bottom of the ocean. He drowned like he was at the bottom in 2 or 3 inches of water. Who do we know drowned at the bottom of the ocean? Skippy. Sin is just like that. It's not how deep you get into it. The trick is to keep out of it entirely by getting yourself reborn. Yes, sir. That's what counts. He rode with me to Lancaster. He had been going from town to town on foot, and we had coffee and donuts and a road stand, and he talked okay, now, is it here? Because the too far to walk is in. I just thought I put a note on that page. Oh, and the chapter jump starting the learning curve is gymnastics out in front. Okay, he's there. See the guy in front of the car? He's cranking that car. He's jump starting a car with a crank handle. There's your jump starting the learning curve. And man, I gotta find where is that story. Water high, yellow goggles, Zimfoil trolleys, 2 sets of chains, collapsible canvas bucket, fresh fruit whenever possible. Okay, where's the story about Willie? Willie something. Okay, yeah, he's got a story in here about this guy that walking back then, people would stop to offer you a ride, and they're like, that was like, are you trying to rape me or what? I'm just fine walking, because they've been used to walk. They didn't have, that's how they got around back then. They walked. But there was a guy who was known for walking more than anybody. So that by talking about this guy that walked all over America in the book, he's bringing up too far to walk. Anyhow, I don't know. I didn't get very far. I got about halfway in the book with putting notes in here. Yeah, and that was the water high one. That was I think the last note I got in here. Oh, they made several barn signs. The barns themselves have disappeared by now. A few years ago, I recognized only barn signs. Recognized early barn signs as vanishing Americana. I plan to point an exhibition of oil paintings featuring them. I found, however, that New England barn signs had already disappeared. I wrote letters of inquiries to Bull Durham, Bromo Seltzer, Carter's Little Liver Pills, and other well-known barn side advertisers with strange results. We have no record of ever having painted advertisements on barns, Bull Durham wrote back. So, and here's a story. How deep is a hole? The Great Hole. The Great Hole in the Ground. Sharon Springs. Pool of boiling greenish water. I guess they filled the hole in, maybe? No, it's a whole background. Okay. So they have a little boiling hot spring there, green hot spring. We left Kansas with one bit of research undone, leaving one of my rather rare antidotes still unproved to Ruth. Even after our return, the libraries and museums were of no help. But I have a hunch that some reader of this book will know the facts, and it will substantiate the following story. I recall dusty Kansas roads on a very hot day. I pulled the tea, which was beginning to steam, into the shade of a hickory grove, and I was wondering where I could get some water. And when an old man appeared, he was not blue jean like most other farmers, but naturally attired, and his white beard was carefully trimmed. I presume he was a retired person who lived nearby and was out for a stroll. Hi, I said. Can you tell me where I can get some water? It's mighty hot today. Certainly, he replied. Follow me. And if you care to meet my friends on the way, I'd be delighted. I told him I'd like to meet his friends, but we walked deep into the wooded area, and I began to wonder who his friends were. Suddenly he stopped. Here, he said, is one of my closest, dearest friends. What did you say your name was? Eric Sloan, I replied. But I noticed he was now addressing a tall whitewood tree. He looked upward into its branches, communicated the friendliness that one human can feel only toward another. Meet Eric Sloan, he said in a tone you might use speaking to a slightly deaf person. He came here to get some water. I remember that I was unnerved or afraid of the old fellow. In fact, the tree meeting didn't seem to be very strange at the time. We walked to the spring in the woods and all allowed the way he introduced me to his trees. By the time we reached the spring, I was playing the game with ease. I complimented the trees on their good looks and expressed proper pleasure at meeting each one. I also remembered being impressed at meeting such a fine stand of trees in the comparatively treeless state of Kansas. Before going on my way, I sat with the old fellow and chatted for a long while. It was then that he explained to me how important trees are to human life. And remember Forrest talking about the trees and, using them for paper, all the paper and stuff and newspapers, how many trees it takes. And someday, he said, there will be a law requiring you to plant a certain number of trees each time you buy a new car. For when the trees decease and automobiles increase to the extent of contaminating the air with carbon dioxide, only then will man learn to appreciate the real importance of trees. Yeah. Then he goes on to talk about a professor that brought up the same thing 35 years later. So the whole story about trees in there. But return to Taos. He made 2 trips from Santa Fe to Taos. And the other thing is the color of the book. The color of the fabric. That if you do a negative image of those 2 colors, this will turn blue and this will turn tan. The thrill of the chase is the negative color, and look at it. Look, they're both fabric. They're both the same fabric. It's a kind of a thin canvas. This is my good copy of The Thrill of the Chase. One that's not falling apart. Get the cover on it right. It. Yeah, but this one's signed. I thought it was signed. No, it was signed. Do I have an unsigned copy? Really? I thought it was. Huh. I thought there was a signature in this one. That is because there was, I believe. I got an unsigned copy. It's good. I can sign it. No, what's going on? If we miss. Yeah, I don't come on live very often. You know, you got all these troll idiots. You got that Ian guy that thinks that some book about Breckenridge and all that Forrest, and he has done no examination of Eric Sloan's Return to Taos. None whatsoever. He knows nothing about my solution. He'll probably eventually, like Greg, try and steal the magic bullet. And even Jack Stoof brought up the magic bullet. Look how it wants to see this. This red. That's my green screen. It's a red screen. I could put it across behind me, and I can make video. It's just a roll of fabric, but yeah, there's just way too many clues, and it all led to that car. I have the video going over from Pagosa Springs to South Fork. The lumberjack with the axe is inside the Hungry Logger restaurant. Forrest was a logger, tired and weak. He was tired and weak. He was hungry too. The teeth of the Rockies are at the Hungry Logger restaurant, of course, because you need those teeth to eat. and the teeth of the Rockies. There's a 24-foot wooden lumberjack outside the restaurant, which pretty much, Moses was a wooden Moses carved out of wood. And here we have a wooden lumberjack outside, 24-foot one, life-size 6-foot lumberjack inside with a double-bladed axe. But the one outside with the 20-foot saw blade, what are those little notches on the saw blade called? Teeth. Those are the teeth of the Rockies. And of course, if you got the teeth of the Rockies, you're going to be at a restaurant eating. Yeah. Hey, Whoopi. Yeah. So, I mean, I had some people stay here for a little bit. That was a big pain in the ass. And I found out in October, the end of October, the VA finally tested my aldosterone, and the results came back and said, well, that's a low. It's in the low. It says the range. It says it's in the normal range, except that doesn't mean it's normal, because the test, you can be in this range, but you have to take this number from this test and you divide it by your renin urine, your blood renin number, and that gives you a ratio. Mine came out 5.2 for my renin aldosterone ratio of 5.2. If it's under 10, you might have hypoaldosteronism. If it's under 6, you do. So I do, and now I've got my prescription for hydrocortisone and fludrocortisone. That's the replacement for my aldosterone that gets my blood pressure where it belongs. I used to have my blood pressure. Yeah, I went in for surgery for my hip. Oh, we can't give you that medication if your upper number of your blood pressure is less than 110. And I was scheduled for surgery for neuropathy. It's in my hands, my feet, and stuff. And all these are things because of low blood pressure. My nerves didn't get the blood supply they need. And now my neuropathy is going away because I got the right medication. Except they got a horrible, terrible chief endocrinologist at the VA in Denver. Dr. Kiss My Ass, I call her. Her name sounds a lot Kisseljock or something. I just call her Dr. Kiss My Ass because she told my primary care that isolated hypoaldosteronism is not a thing. It doesn't exist. Try and tell the Endocrine Society that, you dumb bitch. So basically, she's trying to give me half medication and all that. And I trespassed her from my health care. She wouldn't give me an appointment to see their endocrine, and I had to go to community care to get an endocrinologist, and even that appointment isn't till next week. But I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be like, look, she says I don't have this, that this disease doesn't exist in anybody, yet gave me half the medication for it. I need the full medication for it. But meanwhile, I have an office of the Inspector General of the VA investigating this bitch. And I filed a DORA complaint. That's the Department of Regulatory Agencies who give her license to practice medicine. Which, she being the chief endocrinologist, is supposed to be educated in adrenal glands and adrenal functions. And they do research on this bitch. And she's a thyroid cancer doctor and a pituitary cancer doctor. She has never done a paper on kidneys, adrenal glands, adrenal functions, Addison's disease. That's what I have primary Addison's disease. And my Addison's has caused me thyroid problems. It's caused pernicious anemia. It's given me 4 other autoimmune issues that with this medication go away, get fixed. But she doesn't want to give me the full dose of medication. And it's basically prescribing a slow death. And so, since she doesn't give a shit about my health, I'm going to take her career, shit all over it, and get her fired. Yeah, you can't be. And then the other thing is, okay, so you gave me half of it. Oh, she wouldn't give me the. She was telling me take half of a 0.1 milligram per day, when the normal dose is 0.1 to 0.3 milligrams a day. I've been taking the 0.1, which is the normal, and even that by you take it first thing in the morning when sun's setting. I stand up and I feel lightheaded, and I was like, whoa, because that's the stuff that keeps me from getting lightheaded. And I take another one and I'm fine. And so I need 2 of those a day. But she says, oh, those will make your blood pressure go through the roof. Even when I take 2 of them in a day, I took 2 and my blood pressure was still 110/70. It didn't put my blood pressure. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I'm going to have that doctor. That doctor's going to get fired. It's going to be my, and I'm proud of it. You know why I'm proud of firing this doctor? Because I'm not the only patient that she's fucking with. If she's fucking with, how many other people with Addison's is she doing this to? And this is another thing where it's something that a lot of these endocrine problems, oh, it's mostly women that get it. It's not really mostly women that get it. It's the women that bitch about their health that get the attention, you know? And that's why it looks like mostly women. Well, because men just, no, I'm fine, leave me alone, you know? A lot of men don't care. They don't want to see a doctor, you know? That's the only reason it's mostly women, because men don't bitch about these hormone things so much, you know? I gone through, I gave it all my labs for 45 years in Grok. And it says your labs have been screaming Addison's disease as far back as they go. And that this came from using firefighting foam in Navy boot camp. That the San Diego, Mare Island, and Great Lakes, Illinois, were the three biggest Superfund sites for firefighting foam poisoning. They're Superfund sites. And it's like, it wasn't just using the firefighting foam. It was in the drinking water. It was in the shower water. It was in the water system. So we showered in it. We drank it, you know. And yeah, it destroys your endocrine system. It's known to get your thyroid and stuff. So I'm in a case for that too. I'm in a case for that. But I'm working on a malpractice. I got to tell the VA that I'm going to sue this doctor for malpractice and get permission to sue him for malpractice. I think that just it gives them the opportunity to settle with you before you do that. But all this makes, and because they misdiagnosed my Addison's as polycythemia vera, I don't know if like 6-7 years ago, and I was going and having blood drained and stuff. That was a misdiagnosis, and actually supposedly harmed, did more damage to me than it helped. And so that is an injury caused by the VA, which then makes me a service connected disabled veteran. And with all my conditions, I'm like 200%. So, and it gets me back pay back to 1976, 77. So, probably do okay with all that stuff. And just the malpractice by the doctors, supposedly a $5 million thing. The doctor, I have it in writing in a message to my primary care denying that hypoaldosteronism is even a disease. It's not even, there's nobody has that. Nobody has that problem. I'm not going to treat something that doesn't exist. Well, the Endocrine Society says it exists, and it says this is the medication you prescribe for, and this is the normal amount. And the amount of medication varies depending on the patient's weight. And so they're trying to give me a half dose that is basically for a woman that weighs half my size. So, it's totally ridiculous. Yeah, that doctor's getting fired. Yeah, I've since I've been taking these, the hydrocortisone and the fluorocortisone, and I'm supposed to have an emergency injection kit in my refrigerator that they won't give me for Addison's disease. See, I've got the I got the emergency alert bracelet for, to tell people, if I'm passed out or something. Here, this guy's got Addison's. He needs some adrenaline. So that's my adrenaline. Really, this is my adrenaline. This gets my blood pressure. Gives me the blood pressure I need. And without this, the thing without this, your blood gets dehydrated. I went in emergency last year. Why are you so dehydrated? You need to drink more fluids. I do. I drink fluids all day. Without this, you piss away your salts and your fluids. That's part of the Addison's is you waste your salts and your fluids. So yeah, I've been wasting my salts and fluid. I need this medication to hydrate. I've been walking around dehydrated for 40 years. I'm a miracle. I'm hard to kill. Biggest shoes. Big whoopee. And what happened to Captain Kidd? He deleted all his messages and went away. Captain Kidd. Oh, he didn't want anybody to see. He was Captain Kidd. Captain Kidd knows I figured it out. I think biggest shoes knows too. I still got my oxygen. I don't need it as much now. I can, without, but I'm waiting. I was supposed to have a I tried to get to a pulmonary doctor because the pulmonary doctor would realize that this is Addison's, but no. Oh, you got to do a pulmonary function test and all these other tests before we can give you a consult with the pulmonary doctor. So, I have an oxygen prescription and I can't get a consult with the pulmonary doctor. So basically, they are trying to prevent me from seeing doctors that can fix what they fucked up. So yeah, my primary care at the VA here is I liked him. He did the tests that I needed that they'd never done, that proved that I was right. And once that evidence came out, they tried to bury it. So he's getting fired. I'm getting another doctor at the VA, or out of the VA at a private hospital, private clinic, because I can't trust these VA doctors. They are garbage. And my primary care can override the other and give me the medication, but he's too much of a pussy to do that. He's bending over, bowing down, and then the primary that the doctor I got the complaint on, she marked down that I was she marked down that she was an attending physician. Attending physician means that you saw the patient in person, physically in the same room together. And she wasn't. And she had 3 other people under her sign the same thing to back me up on this. Come on. So these are people that if I go against her, I might get fired. So they went along with her. So I'm like, no, all of you, your whole department is trespass for my health care because they're trying to kill me. Is what they're trying to do. The VA is actively trying to kill me. So I got to go to UC Health now for the doctor to override her ass. And that doctor is going to get a warning that, look, you're going to prescribe me the proper medication for this, or else you're going to have a DORA complaint just like that other doctor. You know, and I suggest you do that, because prescribing me my medication's going to get you in a lot less trouble than not prescribing it. I am not going to complain if you give me the proper medication. But if you don't give me the proper medication, you're going to lose your license. And I'm hoping if there's results from the DORA complaint or the OIG complaint, that makes my federal lawsuit stronger against her for malpractice. Because if they take any kind of action at all, it proves I'm right. And then it'd be very difficult to lose a case on her. So, and if you're a lawyer and your name's not Barbara, let me know. I could use a little legal help on this stuff. I also have an 1893 claim against the sheriff department here for trespassing on my land New Year's Eve, coming up here saying some woman claiming to be my daughter called 4 days earlier and said I wasn't giving her a ride to go get groceries or food or something. It's like, what the fuck? I don't even have a daughter, you know? So, and then we have Rick Nowak putting his thing. I'm going to, anybody got Bill's address? I need to have a welfare check on him. So I told him, hey, this is swatting. That's called swatting. And it's a felony, Rick. You go to prison for 5 years for swatting. I hope they pick you up. Trying to do the same thing that this other person did to have the sheriff here in the first place. Well, the sheriff ain't coming here, Rick. Well, they need to go pick you up. And it's actually what you did was a felony. Making a false police report, trying to bring police to somebody to try and provoke a shootout or so on, and trying to get the person. They want the police to come and have a confrontation is what they want. And Rick, yeah, you're a dick. You didn't find it. You obviously were harassing Forrest, and that's why he did whatever he did to try and get you. He tried swatting you, basically, in Yellowstone, because you were probably digging in a cemetery, weren't you, Rick? You dick. And Rick doesn't have a bullet. He doesn't have a bullet. But Greg claims that he has the bullet now and the bones. And it's like, you're such an idiot. I have the cowl, the car I have, the bullet hole comes out the top of the fuel tank. He got shot. The bullet holes come out the top of the fuel tank. For it to come out the top of the fuel tank on this car, it had to be fired from underneath the dash up through it, or it was put through it while it was laying out, upside down or something, whatever. But the hole is through the fuel tank, just like his F-100. The car, the Buffalo Cowboy car, was tied to an anchor rope. When he crash landed, his plane hooked an anchor chain. So we are anchored to these bullet vehicles. In Great Gatsby, the car was the bullet that ended the Gatsby. It ran over a biddy. The The biddies thought Forrest Fenn could not cross the street without getting run over. Great Gatsby ended because a biddy ran out in the street and Gatsby ran her over with his car. He was racing through town and she just ran out in front of the car. Boom! Bah! Biddy's dead. You know? And that's what ended the Gatsby, was the death of a biddy. What ended the chase? Forrest Fenn's death. It wasn't over until he was dead. So when he said it was over in June, it wasn't over yet. It's not over until he was dead. It ended with his death. Douglas Preston said, I didn't want to write a foreword for a book that ended with his death. But he did. And once upon a while, where'd it go? Once upon a while. At the end of the line. The asterisk at the end of the line. This is the book of answers. And just before the price of freedom, I want to say, so you see the page turn. Just before the price of freedom is, what is that? Oh, that's the bullet. Just before the price of freedom, the bullet comes home. Now, that might be his Plymouth. But, the bullet comes home. And this book, I brought the bullet to Santa Fe. June 10th, February 2017. Book comes out 5 months, 1 day later, November 11th, 2017. The bullet comes home because I brought the bullet to Santa Fe. And then we got, me in the middle, right? Me in the middle. And he's got things I covet. And what is right after things I covet is, here's Moses. And what does it say here? It says, Moses was an important figure. Moses was important, like important literature. So all you anti-Moses, anti-bullet people, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Yeah, these doctors, they think they're protecting their career. I can't give him his medication. Well, you don't give me my medication, then I'm going to destroy your career, bitch. And I'm going to be glad to do it. Because you didn't give a shit about my life. I don't give a shit about your career. Isn't that? How could I not care about your career? Oh, well, when you don't give a shit about my life, yeah, no, your career means nothing at all. You don't care about my life. I don't care about yours. You know, go get run over by a school bus on your way home. I don't give a shit. You're trying to harm me. I don't care what happens to you if you're trying to harm me. You know, I'm not the type of person that goes out. I'm not going to go and bring physical harm to anybody. But I might wish him ill. I can wish him ill. You can make a little, the banker told me, oh, no, we can't loan you the money to get your car out of the shop for having the engine done. I had half the money. I had 2/3 of the money. I just needed a few hundred more to get my car out of the shop. And they couldn't loan me a little bit to get my car out of the shop. And so I told his secretary, you got one of his cards? Yeah, thank you. I just, all I need is his card here so I can practice some voodoo. I got fired from AT&T for that because he went to my employer and told him about that, and I got fired for it. That's bullshit. I should have sued the bank at that time for taking my job. I would have won. But I didn't care. I took off. Got out of there. But yeah, I am going to sue the county. We're going to sue the county, suing the doctor. I never sued Forrest Fenn. I never harassed his family. His family has never given me the time of day. And for that, I don't really respect them a lot. They haven't told me one way or another. All they've told me is when I've sent a message, they tell me thank you, and then they block me. They just, thank you. Look, you can't talk to us anymore. They don't want to they don't want to have a conversation about what really happened or anything. They're covering it up. And I'm thinking a lot of it is political. Remember they said Trump's security found it, or Trump's doctor. Trump's security is just a Trump supporter. And Mika ran as a Democrat for something council, city, county commission. I don't know what she ran for, but she ran as a Democrat. And that right there tells me Trump derangement syndrome. And was I denied it because of Trump derangement syndrome and bullshit lies from people like Shelley Carney, Toby Eunice, and these other assholes that said things, lied about me, and told untrue things to Forrest Fenn's family. And these women and their freaking brains believe what they're told with nothing to back up what they're told. And then they fucked me. I see those people as disgusting pieces of shit. The person who decided to fuck me out of getting my prize is a piece of shit. You know it. You need to open up and be honest, you piece of shit. That's why you're a piece of shit, because you're not open and honest about it. You're deceptive, hiding in the back, hiding your reasons, hiding everything, and fucking me out of what I earned. Greg doesn't have any bullet. He doesn't even have any marbles in his fucking head. Greg. Go sit on a boring drill and spin. Greg needs to meet Vlad the Impaler. Oh, yes. Yeah, Greg does have his head up his ass, way up there. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Yeah, shy guy. Hey, shy guy. I'm not playing any role. I was a real searcher. I really figured it out. It was the bullet. It's all over the thing. There's a bullet at the end of every chapter in the book. The bullet at the end of important literature is an asterisk. An asterisk is an important bullet point. It just means it's important. It's critical. And the asterisk is also the mark left from a bullet going through you. Splat. The star, the asterisk at the end of the line, the book of answers. This is important literature. And you're an idiot if you don't believe that. You're a total fucking idiot if you don't believe that this is important literature. You're a total idiot if you don't realize that this wolf sculpture is a clue to the wolf sculptures where Forrest Fenn parks his car at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. The wolf sculptures that were made by Glenna Goodacre that says, caution, wolf sculptures may be hot. And Eric Sloane's poem. Eric Sloane's poem. Eric Sloane's poem. 13,000 people came to see my pictures, eager as the honeybee for the flowers. I tell you what, all eyes sought the same old spot in every picture, every time, and gazed and gloated without rhyme. Hey, there's that word gaze. Marvel gaze. They were marvel gazing at his pictures. And it splits it in 2 pages. You shouldn't have done that, Eric. Okay. And gazed and gloated without rhyme or reason, where the leaf should be the fig leaf that was not. Woe is me. He had no fig leaf covering up private parts on people. Or a man, I suppose, because as they blushed and they fumed in fury, they sneered and said, oh boy, I tell you what, look at that one there. That's pretty hot. And they stared, the half-witted lot. They didn't know what they were looking at. Look at that one there. That's pretty hot. The hot bronze wolves at the museum. Caution, wolf sculptures may be hot. It's where Forrest Fenn parks his car in the handicap spaces outside the executive offices of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. All the handicap spaces are right there in a row against the sidewalk. On the other side of the sidewalk are the wolf sculptures chasing a rabbit. One of the wolves, I think, eating a rabbit. Bronze wolves and bronze rabbits. They were chasing him in the rabbit hole. lured in by. Yeah. I was lured into it. I'm sitting in Florida when I learned about the chase. Did you know that? I was in Florida when I learned about the chase. Did he say a man from the East? That's a man from the East, too. That's where I was when I started the chase. I was in Florida. I came from the East. Yes, I was born in Cal, but I was in Florida when I learned about the chase and started chasing it. Um, you know, and Forrest he told people, well, Gorman's closest, but he doesn't know it. Yeah, I knew it, Forrest. You didn't know what I knew. You, you see, he thinks I didn't know. Well, no, he didn't know that I knew. I've known it a long time. When I found that car, I knew it right away. That was Skippy's car. And the Buffalo Cowboy, Charles Goodnight, he raised him and his wife raised the buffalo. That he had a farm west of Pueblo up here, Rock Canyon Ranch. I think they dammed up the canyon and it's now a lake. I don't know where exactly the ranch was, but there's now a reservoir there on the Arkansas River. But he's the one. He donated the bulls that got the current Yellowstone population of buffalo going. We're by the Buffalo Cowboy, Charles Goodnight, who invented the chuck wagon. You got pictures of Forrest in front of that mining cart. Well, those mining carts look a whole lot. A chuck wagon is basically, a mining cart, but it's got different things and shelves and stuff and cooking things in the back instead of ore. So is it an ore cart or is it and it's a car, it's a vehicle. It was what they had back then. The gun has the wooden handle grip or wooden stock on the rifle that came from the stick, you know. Even them old cars in the 20s and 30s, there were wood. Parts of the car were wood. Parts of the frame of the car were wood that held it together. The cars weren't, totally metal until probably about 30s and 40s. Yeah, they started getting away. You can still get a wood dash or whatever, maybe, or it's fake wood grain dash. But yeah, I drove up Christmas Day. I drove up to Wyoming to drive. My neighbor, him and his girlfriend broke up, and she came over here with her. She's still got her fifth wheel here, but I drove I have a little truck trailer, and I drove a trailer full of her stuff up to Casper, Wyoming on Christmas Day. And like 9 o'clock at night, I ran out of gas, 11 miles short of Douglas, Wyoming, because all the gas stations were only pay at the pump, nobody inside to take cash. You couldn't go and, get a small amount of gas and all that. You couldn't go prepay $20, to get you to where you get it, because there was nobody inside. 3 gas stations, and I tried 11 more miles. Ran out of gas, and I had a Wyoming Highway Patrol I called them, and they gave me a ride. Trooper Biggs come out and gave me a ride into Douglas, and we got gas and brought it back out to my car, and I was fine and all that. And then he told me, "Oh, your trailer lights don't work, but I'm not going to write you for it. Just keep your flashers on." And so yeah, I made it back home. And one thing when I go to places like that, anytime I go to like Colorado Springs or Pueblo, I get me a Whataburger. Or like their I think it's the mustard and onion in it that the flavor of that is why I like Whataburgers. Big, thick, juicy hamburgers. Yeah. You coming this way? Well, I'm gonna sign off too. 'Cause I gotta go whiz. Y'all take it easy. I'll find my button. End stream. And bye bye. See ya.